In this video, we're going to look at how to make this deluxe survival bracelet. So let's have a look at the things that we're going to need. Firstly, I'm going to be using the scissors on my Swiss Army knife. Any set of scissors will do to cut the paracord. Then I've got this clip which has a ferocerium rod and a whistle on there along with the striker. And then I'm going to be using a lighter to burn the ends of the paracord. The paracord I've decided to use, I'm going to be using 550 paracord, which has these 7 strands in the center. Okay, it adds a lot of strength and gives you a lot more cordage. Along with that, I'm also going to be using some microcord to interweave into the bracelet itself, so it adds more cordage as well. And then I'm going to be doing a two-tone effect on the main part of the bracelet, but this particular tone is a coyote color, and inside of this one is a bit special. You get the body of the paracord itself, you have your 7 strands, typically from 550 paracord, but also in addition we have this little thread for sewing. Okay, how, you know, whether I use that or not is another thing. And then we've got this little yellow cordage, which is like a nylon cordage. It's been advertised as fishing line, but that's questionable, but either way it'll still come in handy. But this is the bit that really interests me. It's a wax cordage that you can fluff up and strike with the striker, and it'll give you some tinder material for fire lighting. So that's quite handy, and you only need a little bit. I'm just going to show you here. If I break up the cordage, you're going to see it creates like a little dust there. That's the wax. But just strike it with the striker and you will get a little flame, and that can help you build a fire in a survival situation. So the first step is to take the buckle, and you have a single bar and double bar on either end. What we're going to do is we're going to take our paracord, and either one you start with, doesn't matter. Just take I'm starting here with a 550 paracord. You first find the center by joining the ends together, and we're going to thread those through the single bar first and then back on it itself. Okay, so we're going to create a bite on the other end just like that. So just to kind of show you here, take both ends, thread it through the single bar of your buckle, and then thread it straight through until you get to that bite. Okay, you need to neaten things up as you go along here because it can twist a little bit, but that's perfectly fine. Just kind of neaten it up as you go along. Okay, and then when you get to your end where the bite is, create a little loop and then pull both ends of the cord through itself. Okay, and then cinch that down and push it to one side. Okay, just like that. And then you do that to the other tone paracord and push it to the other end. So let me just show you how that looks. So once you've done that, you just address things up, make it nice and neat, and it looks like that. Okay, so once you've got your two tones put together, okay, you can then go ahead and put the other end into the double bar. Okay, and the way we do that is we go on the inside bar first next to where the whistle is, and then back on itself on the outside bar. So you put your two ends in first to stay with the tones that you're working with, thread those through, okay, and then bring it to roughly the size that you need it to be, and do the same to the other tone. Okay, and you're going to see here, I'm just going to put these in individually for this one just because it can be a bit of a squeeze. And then dress things up, make it nice and neat, make sure you've got everything in order, nothing's twisted together. So if that does happen, you may have to fiddle a little bit and just untwist things. Doesn't take much. Okay, and this is a good opportunity to size the paracord bracelet up for yourself. You firstly just put it around your wrist. Okay, what I like to do is cinch things down into my wrist, okay, and then give myself an inch away from that. So I'll show you what that looks like now. So make sure everything's nice and neat first, cinch it down right towards your wrist, and then pull the buckle about an inch away from your wrist, and then you have that little gap there. Okay, that should be plenty enough. You can then sort of address it to where you want it. Just make sure you're giving yourself some slack, and the reason is when you start weaving this bracelet, things will tighten up and it will shrink down a little bit, but hopefully you'll have about a finger space in between your wrist and the paracord bracelet. Once you've got your size, make sure everything's nice and neat, and then we're going to be threading the rest of the cordage through the second bar back on itself, and that should lock everything into place. So just make sure everything's neat first. I like to do this individually, so I'll start with the first one, straight into the second bar. Can be a bit fiddly at this point. Okay, straight through the second bar and pull it through. And I'll do that working from my left, as you can see here, working towards the right. So I'll go through each and individual strand and thread it through itself. So here's the last one going through. Okay, so now that's what it looks like. Okay, so I've positioned it differently now. So I've got the end pieces pulled to the side, because that's what I'm going to be doing the cobra weave with. These center pieces are now obviously too long, but I like to give myself another run in the middle. Okay, so it gives you more cordage. And what you could do if you wanted to is tuck them through the loops here if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take it to about there and just cut them, and whatever's left over, which is a little bit there, will be used for a lanyard or something like that. Okay, so let me get mine. Actually, I won't do it with a knife, I'll do it with the scissors, because obviously I'm looking through a camera at the same time. So safety first, guys, and all that lot. So I'm going to just give that a little pull. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, okay? As long as they're even. I'm going to cut them about there. So that's a good place to cut it. So this part here, I can now discard. There's not a lot there, so that'll be handy for a little lanyard, which I will use. It won't go to waste. I do it that way because, like I say, it makes sure that I've got enough material to do the actual bracelet with. Okay, guys. What I'm going to do is just going to straighten all this out, and I'm just going to burn these ends, neaten it up. Funny, when I did this in front of somebody, they're like, "Oh, how do you touch it? Is it not hurting?" I'm sure some of you guys are the same. I'm sure you guys can just grab that and just pinch it. Some people use their back a lighter, but not for me. I just suppose some people are just using things like hot wax and stuff, aren't they? So there we go. We'll melt the ends there. It doesn't have to be pretty, because that's going to be in the paracord. You won't see it. What I've learned is the fire cord is quite a hard thing to burn, because it's got the fire tinder on there as well. So I'll just let it. You got to get the shell over it, but that'll do. Okay. No, it won't do. It's now too much. What I might do is pull it back a bit, to be fair. I might need a new spring on my scissors, because it's not melting properly. Something I'm learning about this fire cord, that red piece, the bit is the tinder, doesn't let you melt it. There we go. So you got to overlap it like that and then burn it. So note to self on that one. I'm sure it helps you guys as well, who would learn these things when we're using different materials. Okay, now on into the weave. So let's just move this stuff out of the way. Weave's dead easy. I'm going to make it as visual as I can, guys. So all you do is get everything dressed up, okay? And you can do it loads of different ways. People have their own technique, okay? What you do is, if you take, I like to work from the left first and go over like that. So it makes this loop, and then take the other end, which is my green end, and sit that on top. Okay, so that goes on top. Now I'm doing this obviously over exaggerating things. When I'm doing this in real time, it doesn't look like this. And then the green one then goes underneath. Okay, so it looks like that. So that's done a loop. That sits on top. And then it goes underneath and then through the loop again. And then what you do is you pull it in.
Okay, and then you get everything nice and tight and snugged up to the top, and that is your first weave. Okay, you don't want to get too tight, okay, because obviously you can cinch things down as you go along for that first one, so just do that nice and easy. So now the green has now ended up on the left, and the light brown one has ended up on the right. Okay, so you can now then take the light brown one and start off the right this side if you wish, okay, and do it this way. This way you've made a loop there, and then this one goes on top, goes over, and then under everything, okay, like that. So you've done the exact same thing, but you've done it in reverse. You've done that from the other side. So this has made a loop, this now sits on top, and then this goes through the loop. Once it's gone under, back from the paracord, so you can see here, loop, that's that there. This sits on top, then goes behind the bracelet, and then through this loop, and then you cinch it down like that. And there's our first sort of weave. So that's one way of doing it. It's working left, right, left, right, left, right, like that. Or if you like myself, okay, I like to stay with doing the left. So now this one, I just do it in real time now for you, rather than doing it over exaggerated. I do a loop, take this one, go over, under the bracelet, pull it through, cinch it down. Now rather than making a loop on this side, I stay with this one, but this time I go behind like that. Okay, this one now goes under and then over through the loop, and you just get used to doing it. That's the way I generally do it, okay? But when you're starting off and you're practicing, you can see how that weave is happening now, okay? When you're starting out with nothing practicing, I'll do the visual one, so you do left, right, so it makes it easier. So you stay on top of every time then. So you'll start off with the left one, make a loop, get the right one, sit it on top of the left one, go under the bracelet, and then go back on the loop, so back on itself, so it goes through that loop like that. Okay, then pull it through, cinch it all down, and then you get this one. The right hand side, do the same thing on top of the bracelet. Take your green one, lay that on top of the light brown one, go under the back of the bracelet itself like that, and then go through the loop from the back, cinch it down. Okay, you can see everything's coming together now. To show you the way I normally do it again, okay, not that way, okay, normally I'll just go backwards and forwards with this one from front to back, like this. So I'll go front first, take my green cord on top, up behind the bracelet, through the loop. Okay, this time I go behind, this one goes right behind, over the bracelet, through the loop. It's doing the exact same thing, I'm just doing it working from my left only. And you can see there's my cobra. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to carry on to the end, and then I'm going to show you how you finish off.
So this is how you finish off. So basically when you get to the end, you're going to separate these ends here, and you're going to thread the cordage back on themselves. Okay, and you're going to do that either side, so I'll show you here. You can use a prodding device like a pencil. I should have mentioned this in the things that you're going to need. Okay, this could be an optional tool for you. Push the cordage through and then pull one end through so it's back on itself like that, and you do the same for the other end. So thread it in the same place, pushing it through, and then back on itself like that, and make sure everything's tight there at that point. So that's now locked everything in. And now what we need to do is we need to cut these ends off and then melt them into place. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're just going to cut the ends off with the scissors, So we'll start off there and then cut the other end. We'll set the scissors, and now bear in mind the fire cord, we need to strip that back a little bit and then cut some more off to just make it easier to melt. Okay, so that's something we've discovered from this. And then when you've done that, just take your lighter, melt the ends, just be careful not to melt the buckle. Okay, so just take your time here. You can push it with your thumb, or you can take the side of the lighter, which some people do, blow it out and then push it in so it's nice and flat, and that's now locked into place. And do the same on the other side. If it needs a little extra, just do so, and then just check your work. So that's the main part of the paracord bracelet done. I'm going to use this little safety pin here to thread through one of the ends, and I'm going to put my little microcord in. So this is an additional option that you can use. This makes it a 3-tone paracord bracelet now. And I'm using this brown stuff here. And the way I'm going to do that is just threading it to one of the ends. So I'm going to just push that through the little hole in the safety pin and pull it through. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it to the end, just like this. And then I'm going to melt that end just to kind of create like a little ball so it doesn't unweave itself, just for now. And you're going to see why I've done that in a minute, because I'm going to join them up at the finished article. So let's just melt a little ball there. And just take your time there, make it nice and little flat if you have to. Okay, now that shouldn't go anywhere. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this microcord and I'm going to interweave it, zigzagging along the bracelet on this side. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. It takes a little bit of time, not too long though. Just use the little safety pin, pull it through, and make sure you cinch it all down. Get it nice and neat. And the good thing about this, it adds extra cordage to the paracord bracelet. Okay, probably around 10 to 11 foot or so. Okay, and this smaller stuff can come in very handy. I do this all the way down. Okay, as you can see here, I go on the other side. I'm just zigzagging. You can do all sorts of weird and wonderful patterns. There's lots on YouTube to show you how to do this. And you can do crisscrossing, zigzag. I'm going for a zigzag effect for this one. Okay, just keeping it simple. So that can now be pulled all the way through. And I do this all the way down to the bottom. Now I've got to the bottom, I'm going to flip the bracelet over and do the other side.
Okay, so that's it. We've done the other side as well, the exact same thing. It doesn't add any bulk to it. If anything, it just fills in the gaps, so you really don't feel anything that's different from this paracord bracelet to these ones I had before. There's no real difference there, it just looks different. It's nice to have the 3 tones, so I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to finish this off now. So what I'm going to do, where I burnt it on the end at the beginning, that's sticking out just a little bit. I'm going to cut it same length, and then I'm going to stick them together and then obviously squish it down. So that's what I'm going to do now. So just cut it there. I'm left with a little bit of paracord, microcord left, probably about 2 feet there. I'd say if I was to guesstimate, there's probably about 10 foot of paracord, maybe a little bit more, maybe 11 foot. In the microcord, that is, in the entire bit. So there's probably more of the brown stuff than there is of everything else. So let me just do that. I'll tell you something, I'll probably be doing this from now on when I do paracord crafts, you know, like if I'm going to interweave small bits into it. That's that stuck together, so that's never coming off there unless I cut it off. Let's get that plastic out of the way. It's hard to sort of do this in the camera as well. There we go, nice and flattened off. Cool, and that's it. So what I've got going on then is I've got the coyote colored stuff, which is regular 550 cord. The green stuff is the 550 cord with other stuff in it. So it's got sewing thread in there. It's got a yellow nylon line, which is advertised as a fishing line. You know, that's questionable, but still I'm sure it'll come in handy. And then there's the red waxed tinder material that's inside of there as well. And then I've also got microcord, so extra cordage there, so another just well up, we'll say about 11 foot there of that. And then I've got a fire striker on one end with the striker there. So ferocerium rod on one end, striker there. And I've also got a whistle. I suppose I could integrate a little needle in there for the thread, but personally I think it's not needed. But that's spot on now. So let's have a look how it fits. Again, struggling to do things with the camera there. There you go, that's spot on. It's not tight, it's perfect size. One finger can get in there. And that looks cool, if you ask me. Yeah. It's like upgraded from that to that. I'll still be using these guys. And to be honest, the one I wear the most is probably this one here with the button. You can see how like shiny it's got from use, you know, from rub and friction. And this was just a black and brown color, just because I like the minimalistic of the button. You know, when you put a button on, it's easy enough, and it's just very small. So generally every day I wear that. These clips are a bit chunky if you ask me, but when I'm out in the jungle, or if I'm out in the woods for any period of time, or canoeing and I'm out for multiple days, this is probably what I take, or one of these is what I generally take out exploring. But everyday carry, this would be it, because I just need the cordage, or it's just more of a fashion sort of statement of anything else. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If that's something you enjoyed and you want to see more like this, give me a subscription and comment in the chat box and let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll do my best to make something for you guys. Thank you for your time for watching this. I know it's quite a long video, but like I say, I'm still new to making videos. I'm doing my best here, but I want to keep things holistic. And there we go. That's upgraded paracord bracelet. So that's your survival bracelet. So I'm going to make another one now for my friend's kid that wants one, but that's the one I'm going to be using for next journeys and what have not. So hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'll see you again soon. Take care.